ready to make chicken stock in a flash.
Absolutely. We've talked about this in past episodes. So I'm glad we're doing a little deep dive on it.
Yeah, let's do it. I've got my soup pot. It's almost always on the back burner of the stove because I'm always ready to cook up a pot of something and share it. And the soup pot is just a wonderful way to do that. Okay, we're starting with an empty pot. Just going to share that. What I've done, now this is not beautiful, but it's delicious. So bear with me. I know it's morning and we're going to be looking at this. This is what remains of the rotisserie chicken after I've taken just about all the meat off of it that I could. I've got all of the bones in here, the wings and such. And then there is this gooey kind of gelatinous business that is usually at the bottom of the bag or the container. Don't be scared by that. That is some of the cooking juices that have kind of coagulated a little bit. And that is one of the flavor bombs going in this soup. So I've saved every little bit out of the bottom of the container. And all of these bones and everything are going right into my soup pot. Let me just show it to you now because you'll be able to see the goo that I'm speaking of. Can y'all see that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I've got my bones and my goop. And the other thing that I do, and some of you might do this also, is I keep a stock bag in my freezer. And as I'm cooking throughout the week, the month, I have vegetable scraps. I have the chicken bones from things that I've made. I have herbs that might be getting a little bit tired, fresh herbs that maybe I'm not going to use in something else. And I add them all to my stock bag. So in here, I've got just about everything. I've got celery leaves and parsley stems and carrot, you know, when you peel a carrot, those little carrot trimmings, all of that is going right into my stock. I even have the peel, the outside, that papery skin of the onion, and that's going to lend great color to my stock. So you've got my onion skins, and I want to add a little bit more flavor, so I've got an extra onion. Let me reorient myself here a little bit. I've got an extra onion. And, you know, how easy is this? I'm not even peeling this onion. It's just going right in the pot.
And one of the best side effects, you know, we talk a lot about the joy of food being more than just taste. It's also smell and texture. When you have a simmering pot of stock on the stove, it's going to be there for a while, and it just makes your whole house smell so good.
It does. It does. It's just, and in this cold weather, it's the best. So apologies for the noise. I just smashed a few cloves of garlic. I'm not peeling them. In they go, the papery skin and all. We're wasting nothing, right? You talked about reducing waste in the kitchen. Well, here we go. Now, as if that wasn't it, so here's all my goodies I've got in my pot. I'm going to add in a couple more flavor enhancers that I really like. A bay leaf. They have a very herby kind of fresh smell. That's going in, and also some whole peppercorns. You can use ground pepper as well. I have a pepper grinder, and I just unscrew the top, and I grab a few peppercorns out. In those go. Another really great flavor enhancer I like is celery salt. Now, it does have salt in the title, so I'm not going to add any additional salt right now, but I am going to shake in a little bit of celery salt, maybe like a half teaspoon or so. This is not really scientific, as you can see. And it really does make for a delicious, delicious stock. So what's missing?
Well, that doesn't look like soup to me, or something that could be made into soup.
Call me crazy, right? So a couple of different things. You can just use plain water, and I've got a quart of water here. So a quart is 4 cups. So I'm going to put those 4 cups of water in. And I also happen to have a box of stock. This one is almost full. I was cooking something else. And I thought, well, let me just use the rest of this. This is also, when it's full, about 4 cups. So
you're
right
kind of
here,
fortifying it a little bit with
yeah,
some.
exactly. So I'm adding some flavor from the get-go. If you want to use all water, totally fine. Use whatever you've got on hand. And I'm going to take a look and check myself here, because what I really want to do is I want to make sure that everything that's in the pot is just covered with water by a couple of inches. So I'm almost there, but it looks like I need a little bit more water. Remember, when you're making soup, it's going to sit on the stove for a while, and some of that liquid is going to cook out. So right now, I'm starting with about 12 cups or 3 quarts of water, and I've got everything covered in the pot. And it's probably going to cook down. I'm going to lose about a cup or 2 of liquid, but that flavor is going to continue to concentrate. And as Chris has said, make the house smell great. So I'm going to pop it on the back burner, and I'm going to set it and forget it, which is great. I want to kind of bring it up to a boil or a simmer, and then I'm going to turn the heat down. So I'm going to get that going. It's going to cook for probably 2 or 3 hours. You know, just while I'm doing other things, I don't even have to think about it. I can leave the lid on, keep it on low. When I feel like I've tasted it and I've adjusted the seasonings, I would say don't add salt at this point, because again, that liquid is going to cook down. And the more that liquid evaporates, it concentrates the flavor of salt. So it's best to really season this with salt at the end of your stock cooking. Make sure you have it the way you want it. You can also not add any salt until you're ready to use it in a particular way, and then you can season it then.
Right, because you might be combining it with other ingredients once you ultimately strain out all those solids and then you have your broth. You're going to be combining it with other ingredients, and depending on what you're making, that those things might be salty. So you can always adjust that seasoning at the end. Like you, I actually keep a bag in my freezer for stock, but I add my bones to it. If I'm not ready to make stock as soon as I'm done my chicken, I freeze those bones, and then I tend to accumulate a lot over a period of time. And then I make a huge batch. If you have a nice big pot, and then I freeze it. So I actually like to freeze it in smaller quantities, because I might not need it all. Like, you know, if you buy one of those quart size containers, you might not use the whole thing. You can always freeze the remainder of those too. But yeah, I like to freeze my portions, and that's free broth if you're using the bones. I had another thing to offer, but now I can't remember what it is.
There's so much to talk about when you're making stock. And just a note, you know, you can use the bones from a turkey that you cook. You can use the bones from a roast that you cook. So you can make a beef stock. You can also just make a vegetable stock with all of these vegetable trimmings and herbs that you saw, and you don't need any meat at all. Just let it go on the back of the stove for a few hours, and check it every now and again to see if you've got the flavor that you want. When you do, you're going to go over to the sink, and be careful, because, you know, if you're like me, you've really loaded up your pot and it's pretty heavy. You're going to strain it through a colander or a mesh strainer like this. The finer that the mesh is, the more little particles of things it will catch. The most important thing is to just make sure there aren't any bones going into whatever it is you're going to make. So you're going to get a nice clear stock, and you can use that stock in all kinds of different ways.